To Kevin in Fremont. Hi, Kevin. What are you doing?
I'm not doing much. I'm listening to you, actually, and enjoying the conversation and the trade potential. I agree with you that trade works. However, if they didn't want Moody, I would, and that was going to hang up the deal, I'm okay with going ahead and switching out Moody, because I would rather have Moody for the long term for the Warriors, Moody and Trace Jackson Davis, and I'm willing to give them Kuminga.
Oof.
I would not let this deal be hung up by the fact that we want to keep Kuminga, for two reasons. Number one, I don't think Kuminga is ready to be a basketball player. I think he's a great athlete. And number two, I'm still not certain that his knees are going to hold up long term, and I like the reliability of a Trace Jackson Davis who played a lot of college ball, and I like Moody, not because he played a lot of college ball, but he just seems to just be a thinker, and that's what the Warriors want. They want basketball players.
They do, Kevin, but here's how I'd rebut this in two ways, and thank you, Kevin. It's a reasoned take. And actually gives us an opportunity. I think there was a super chat during the crossover from one of our new, very faithful YouTubers. I don't even know if they're new, but they have a new name, which is Rich Mitchman. And that is because that is making fun of what Guru did when Mitch Richmond was on the air. So Rich Mitchman said...
So I'm asking the great Rich Mitchman.
There it is. It was actually Rich Mitchin.
Yeah.
But Rich Mitchman said, quote, "I pray we trade Kuminga. Let's not waste 5 to 10 years because of some dunks." Now... Here's how I would rebut it. First of all, Kuminga going forward, I know he and Moody the same year. They're both technically extension eligible. Kuminga is going to be a lot more expensive than Moody. So if Phoenix is taking back money, if the idea is for them to start worrying about aprons and picks, I don't even know. This is one of the reasons I love it. I don't even know if they want Kuminga, because that's about to cost a whole lot of money. And they're trying to shed some of that in this process and gain assets. The second part of the response, though, is just the flat disagreement of saying I would rather, he said he would rather keep Moody than Kuminga because Moody's a thinker out there. Even if I grant you that Moody looks like, at this point in his career, a headier basketball player than Kuminga, even if I acknowledged that, Draymond said something on his pod last week that I think is important for all of us to remember. It's a very few number of basketball players in the NBA who, quote, affect winning. I don't even know for sure if Kuminga is one, but he might be.
Right.
And he has been on certain nights. And that's enough for me to want to keep him, because those are the players you're looking for. Those are the players, when you talk about guys, like guys can be a one. Oh, he's like, I'll give you an example. Trae Young. He doesn't affect winning. Oh, but Mark, he's a one. No, those are just his numbers.
He's a one on a bad team.
He doesn't affect winning, which means he's not a one. Like the Warriors.
Bradley Beal's been that player forever.
Bradley Beal's another great example. By the way, so is Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, he can affect winning as a 3, but not as a 1. Sometimes the Warriors have been cruising around with 3 or 4 1s. Guys who affect the outcome of a basketball game. Moses Moody does some really good things when he's out there. I don't know how often he's affecting the outcome of the basketball game.
He doesn't. He's a role player, and if he is your 7th or 8th man, you can be a really good team because he's usually reliable. He can defend. His three-point shot is getting better, and I think that he's the kind of guy, if he is your 7th or 8th man, you can be a really solid team. But if you're picking between the two and you want to have the best team you can have, it's Jonathan Kuminga, and it's not even close as far as who you're going to keep. That being said, if I'm Phoenix and I'm entertaining a trade to Golden State and I'm looking at this roster and you want to offer me Wiggins and Chris Paul, I'm going to say I want Kuminga. If I'm going to take some of your detritus, some of your garbage, you're going to have to give me a player that I actually really want. And if I'm Phoenix, that's going to be Jonathan Kuminga, even though it would be expensive, not next year, but the year after. And that would put them into a tough spot cap-wise. You like to say kick the can down the road. If I'm Phoenix and I look at this roster, my number one target would be Jonathan Kuminga.
It would. Yes, it would. But no.
Right. Well, then maybe it's a non-starter.
It might be. It might be. Like, I can't sit here and tell you what's driving and floating Phoenix's boat, but I think this is a very viable offer.
Yeah.
And there's so much that goes into it, as you know, in the NBA. Like even the way Monty Poole just said that. And maybe we should play it again. A, because it's got great vibes. but B, there's something that's important in here that we should entertain. Once again, Monty Poole, Dubs Talk Podcast, NBC Sports Bay Area.
If you're the Warriors, you would be in on Kevin, and the question is whether Kevin would want to come back, because he has said, I don't really regret anything I've done. Didn't regret going to the Warriors. Didn't regret leaving the Warriors. Didn't regret going to Brooklyn. Don't know if he regrets leaving Brooklyn, but apparently not, because he doesn't. I don't do regrets. I just do what I do, and whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. I've even seen that KD might go back to OKC. Wow, that would be a serious turn. But yeah, if KD is on the market, the Warriors are shopping.
They're shopping. But he says in there, would KD want to do that? It's funny because you look at it and you're like, it's a trade. KD doesn't have anything to say about this.
Well, he does.
But he does. He does because it's the NBA, and that's just that's how the game goes.
Right.
So, you said earlier he would definitely want to play with Steph. I would think so. Does he want to play with Draymond? I don't know. Does he want to put that uniform on again and be a part of what no doubt was what he was criticized for more than anything in the history of his life? I don't know.
And I do think the criticism would be even more. It might be twofold for what he got the first time around.
See, I think that's the wildest statement.
I think that
tell me why.
Because he comes back to Golden State, and it's like, oh, you got to go back to the only place where you were able to chase a championship. You're not good enough to go out there and do it on your own. You got to go running back to Steph and Draymond. You got to go back to Golden State to try to be a winner again. I think people would come at him for being soft and for not being a real one and all the rest of it.
See, I look at it this way, and to me, it's totally different this time around. First of all, there's no way it would be twofold as opposed to last time. Last time it was the loudest thing in sports for 4 months.
If they won again, then I think it would be twofold.
See, but
the more that they win, the more he's going to get criticized.
Right, but but the winning was because of before it. Remember, the big criticism was you went and joined the team that beat you, and they're already in the finals, and they'd already won a finals. Well, now he'd be joining a 10 seed. Plus, here's another difference. Last time he's a free agent. This time it'd be a trade. And then here's the third difference. Last time he's in his 20s. This time he's not. These are different guys now. The big thing then, I think, was the world looked at Kevin Durant, and they're like, dude, you're the baddest scorer on the planet. You're like badder than LeBron on offense. LeBron might be better all around, but Kevin, you're that dude. You're him.
He's him.
And when, in the Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant of it all, does him go join a bunch more hims? That is what got everybody down his road. Well, now...
Oh, he's still him.
But they're not. They're all gone. It's May 1st and they're all gone.
Right.
So they're not him anymore. They used to be him.
They're gone because the team was a farce. It doesn't mean that he's not the same or close to the same player he was. He averaged 27 a night this year in 37 minutes a game.
But you know the NBA. If you're him, you alone can take your team to the second or third round.
You should be able to, but
he didn't.
He was in a broken situation.
Well, you could look at it that way, but to me, this is way less like triggering of a transaction to people this time around versus what brought Kevin Durant here last time.
I think it's equally triggering, and maybe it's a little bit less because you're right, the team that did knock them out, and now you're going to go and join them. If you can't beat them, then you join them is the adage, but now you're going back to the only place that you had success. You couldn't do it on your own in Brooklyn. You failed miserably in Phoenix, and so now you're going to go running back to Golden State and let Steph carry you again? I think that there would be a lot of criticism about that.
I mean, Steph's not even a carrier anymore. That's the whole point. The whole point of this conversation all week is that LeBron, KD, and Steph are no longer the ones they used to be. They all got unceremoniously and easily flicked out of this postseason. All of them at full health. All of them. So it's not like you're joining. That was the deal. He was joining a superpower. Now he's joining a 10 seed. That's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying like there would be some noise just because that's the way life works.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would hold a candle to what happened last time. And by the way, those of you just joining us, we're talking out specifically the idea of Kevin Durant and the Warriors. And Monty Poole says if Kevin Durant is available, the Warriors are definitely in the market. And the Phoenix Suns are up a complete creek and need to do something to financially reboot what was a bad idea and a bad result. Eric Pincus wrote about it in Bleacher Report. He joins us in a half hour. And I'm proposing, while realizing I don't know the exact ins and outs and the legality of it, so we will check with Eric, but something along the lines of the Warriors opting into Chris Paul and then packaging Chris with Andrew Wiggins and a package of picks and or a young player like a Moses Moody to Phoenix in exchange for Kevin Durant. And yes, it would also mean that Klay walks. So this is an emotionally difficult move to make on two fronts. You know, this would not just be Kevin Durant running back to the Warriors. This would also be the Warriors running back to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, which I think is easier to stomach, although with Klay leaving, it would be the end of an era, and it would also be the rebooting of a previous era. So the Warriors would get some criticism, but if you just looked at KD in, Klay, Moody, and Paul out, you could look at the Warriors and say, well, they're a better team, even though you hate to see Klay go. Bringing KD in, you would feel like the Warriors got better in this trade. And I'm going to ask Eric about the idea of a sign and trade with Klay Thompson, because I would love, Chris Paul walks for $30 million. You sign and trade Klay. I like your trade idea. Other than that, I do think it's a couple of picks and Moses, or a pick and Moses. It feels like Moses Moody's going to get a chance to go spread his wings and play elsewhere. And I think that Andrew Wiggins absolutely needs a new destination. If I'm Phoenix and I'm looking at either Chris Paul on a sign and trade or Klay, which will be a 2-year deal most likely, maybe 3 at the outset, and a more reasonable number in the first year than Chris Paul's 30. If I'm Phoenix, I'd much rather have Klay Thompson in that scenario than I would Chris Paul.
And here's why if I were them, I wouldn't agree with you. And it's solely because that's a worse business decision, even though it's a better basketball decision. That's what I'm getting at. When I made that comparison yesterday, if you're a lion or a cheetah and you come up on a group of antelope or gazelle, you're looking for the one that's limping. Phoenix is limping. They are not in a position to be like, well, let's get the best basketball players and let's just pay through the nose and let's go try to win next year. They got to moonwalk, man. They got to get out of this, which means the shorter the deal, the better. Like, I know it went well, but let's be real. Do you think when the Warriors last offseason were like, I think we got to look at moving Jordan Poole. This is not a good blend. Do you think they were like, I think we need Chris Paul. He's a perfect guy who we need. We need a small old guard. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Part of it, yeah.
I don't.
Somebody who could anchor the second unit, which in the non-Steph minutes, I think it was a win-win.
Well,
you wanted to get rid of Jordan Poole because it clearly was not working, and he was becoming the player that we saw him be this year in Washington, and that wasn't going to work here, and the interpersonal stuff and all the rest of it. Jordan Poole had to go. And then you're looking at a target. I do think you looked at Chris Paul and thought, 1 year, the point guard, a guy to stabilize your second unit.
1 year.
But I also think it was the player as well.
It wasn't that it didn't fit, but it wouldn't be your first choice. You're not like 39-year-old point guard. How about someone tall? That's what I would have tried to get.
Yeah.
How about somebody?
They don't do tall.
Yeah. How about someone who can tell me what it's like to be 6'9"? I don't know. That's what I would have tried to do. But Chris Paul, 1 year, financial flexibility. These are the things the Suns are going to be out there looking for. I know our brains always look at it and go, well, wait, but the Suns are going to want good players. Yes, they are. But I bet they want 2 things more than good players. Picks, flexibility.
Well, Wiggins is not flexibility. He's got 3 more years.
You're going to have to take something, and that's a lot
that.
less money than the wing you're paying now.
26, 28, and then a player opt for 30.
Versus what KD is making, which is 49 and 54.
Yep.
So it's a lot less. The guy that you've got to stick to is essentially making 25 to 30 million less. And then Chris, one and done. 30 mil, reboot, start to moonwalk, next year, gone.
Yeah.
Probably to retirement.
And these are questions
frankly.
for Eric Pincus, but I don't know. I don't think that Phoenix can accept more salary than they part with because they're a team in the second apron and the Warriors are in that same spot.
But you can figure that out. Again, throw in another player.
Right.
Throw in a whatever.
I mean, it's not always that simple.
It's not. I'm not saying that this is easy.
No, I get it. And your framework, I think, is workable in many ways. And I know beggars can't be choosers, and Phoenix is definitely in a sell mindset, but they're going to have multiple offers from a number of different teams. I'd be stunned if the Warriors could do this and A, not include Kuminga, and B, have it be Wiggins and CP3 together. That would be an unbelievable hit for Dunleavy.
It's not bad for Phoenix either. It's really not. Remember, don't leave out the picks now. This isn't just CP3 and Wiggins for KD. Like the picks, like the Warriors would be mortgaging something here.
For sure.
They would really
if it's
like
2 first-round picks.
It's a roll of a dice.
If it's 2025 and 2027, let's just say, because you can't trade picks in consecutive years. Well, 2027 might be a good pick.
Could be.
If Steph is gone and the Warriors are no longer good. But if you give them KD, then the pick next year in 2025, it's probably not going to be a lottery pick. So that pick almost becomes meaningless for Phoenix. You're giving them KD, and you're going to say, all right, Warriors, we need you to stink so we can get the pick. It's probably not going to be that way.
Let's go to Cornell in Vallejo. Hey, Cornell, what's going on? What are you doing?
Hey, fellas, can you hear me?
Got you.
You're talking about the trade and hopefully with KD and even throw-ins. Don't stone me, but can we get Bol included in the deal? Bol would fit the system great. He can shoot. He killed my Rockets with, 28 points, like 5 or 6 3-pointers when they put him in the game. KD said he's going to mentor him, and we're going to be losing some shooters. They can throw him in on the deal, and coming off the bench, he can do what he does best, just sit in the corner and hit 2 or 3 threes. Bol included in the deal. What you guys got?
Bol's a free agent.
He's a free agent, Cornell.
Restricted, I believe.
Yeah, is it restricted?
I think so.
I got him as UFA.
Okay.
Yeah, I got him as unrestricted. You want Bol? Just call him. He doesn't need to be in this deal.
Right.
He can't be in this deal. He can't be in this deal.
He's got no deal next year to be in this deal.
Well, that's a good thing. He's actually the kind of guy the Warriors could probably go afford, as on the open market at least. But obviously a young and unproven player too. All right.
Hold on real quick.